Hi, my name is Jenny Frank, and this is Casey Frank.
Hey.
Casey is a 4th grader. He's 10 years old. I experienced the Orton Gillingham strategies with Mrs. Nolk. A couple years back, we started working with her and how she, how to help Casey. We thought that Casey might possibly be dyslexic. He's kind of like on the borderline of getting help at school. The teachers would help him extra, but he never received an IEP. It was just kind of on that cusp. But he always struggled with writing and reading. It is extremely frustrating for him. Oftentimes when I would work with him, he would recognize a word and he would memorize books and words, but then when it came time to write it or to read it in a different setting, he wouldn't know the word. So it was difficult because you would always get different results because we never really were sure if he was just memorizing it or if he was actually reading it. So we started to work with Mrs. Nolk, and Mrs. Nolk taught us some good strategies with multisensory items. So when he would spell out a word, he would tap it out on his fingers and do the different syllables, and then we would work from there. Or we would also finger write. I'd have him finger write on my back or finger write on a blanket and things like that. We also used chips to help him section out a word, and we would do rhyming with that. We worked with the flashcards, and we would start with the first letter, and then we'd do the middle, and we would blend them together. We also would do a lot of rhyming words and swap out the end of the word or the beginning of the word, and we would do that with the chips a lot. This made a big change in Casey. It was nice for me because it helped me. I think sometimes we get so used to just the way we do things, and we don't really know how to teach it because it's just so automatic for us, and we forget the rules as adults. And it was difficult for Casey. It was difficult for me because I didn't remember the rules, and I didn't remember how to help him and things like that. So when we would work with him before, we would do flashcards and we'd wonder why he was still struggling. So this way was multisensory, so it helped him learn the words. And after that, he seemed to have an easier time, especially with spelling words and things like that. He would also get less frustrated when working with him. And it was nice for me too because I became less frustrated helping him as well. Casey, how did you feel about everything?
It was honestly great. Mrs. Nolk was really nice to me. She helped me a lot. And yeah.
Did you
amazing.
Like doing the different ways of learning, like with the chips or with the flashcards or writing in your hand or on a piece of paper or on my back? Remember, we would do spelling words on my back a lot.
Yeah, I liked writing out with my finger and not on a piece of paper. It was much easier. And I liked doing the symbols on my finger. It helped a lot.
Do you still kind of use some of those things when you're having trouble sounding out a word? Do you still kind of use your fingers once in a while? You still use them when you're not sure? Because I know you're 5th grade now, so now it's a little different. You've really learned those skills, so you're doing so much better in school and not struggling so much with reading and writing like you once were and spelling words. But do you still once in a while, like when you still struggle with a word, do you tap it out or maybe write it on a piece of paper or write it on your finger or write it with your finger, and does it help?
Sometimes I write it with my finger, but I usually don't struggle.
No, you don't struggle. You do a lot better, huh? I worked with Mrs. Nolk a little bit in her class, and she taught me all these ways. And it was great because not only was I helping students in her class, and it was so easy. I mean, it really is no different than what we were doing at home. I mean, it was different, but it wasn't any more time. It was just less of a struggle. So it was great because I utilized the stuff at home, and we would work with it at home, and it didn't take more time than working homework that it normally did. It wasn't hard. It wasn't hard to do. You didn't need any special things. We would use coins instead of tokens because that's just what we had. But we would do all different kinds of things. You know, he'd write on a blanket with his finger if that helped, or we would have him stand and do it, or write it in the air, or anything to try to get every sense into the equation. I'd have him say it out loud when he would spell things, and that way he would hear it, he would say it, and he'd be also writing and tapping it in his hands and using another form of sensory. So, and also I noticed a huge difference in the students. In the beginning, it was tough to try to get them to focus, but after a while they had it down pat. I mean, they knew how to spell those words, they knew how to tap things out, and it was so easy to them. It became natural, and it really helped the students. So we thank you, Mrs. Noak, and we hope we'll be seeing you soon. Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye.